Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. It's going to be a double header. It's going to be a short show with James Rowe, my good friend, and then we're going to be back later on this evening doing a slightly longer version. I've got some bits and pieces I need to be getting on with. There's more to just doing podcasting, isn't that right, James?
Absolutely. There's more to do in podcasting life. You have to find a good balance and try to enjoy things. And I think we did pretty well.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll see you on the other side of this intro music that I love so much. So see you. Yes, welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. Welcome to the first segment of the day, Monday. It's just a few minutes after 5 p.m. and a few minutes after 6 p.m. over in Amsterdam, Holland. I've got my good friend James Rowe. I think I've got a funny feeling I might have tripped up a few of my subscribers because you would have probably seen there was a notification for a 7 p.m. Show. That will still be happening, but I just thought, yeah, let's get this one. And then I've got some chores to be done in my house over here before the wife arrives. But anyway, James, welcome back to Cannon Fodder. How are you, my friend?
Very well, thank you, Alex. Very well. Nice to be back after obviously last Friday as well. And it'd be nice to talk about the game yesterday and looking ahead to MOLDE. And nice to be on as always.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So it's always a pleasure to have James back on Cannon Fodder TV. Well, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a mashup. The youngsters say mashup. I'm showing my age. Yeah, mashup means like when you mix things up. So talk about maybe Europa League. Well, maybe we're going to be talking about Europa League. We're back in action against MOLDE, FK, and also the game yesterday against Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds. Wonderful side, and a lot of the fan base was surprised. No one be surprised.
Don't be
Leeds
surprised.
are a wonderful team. They're a really good team. And we looked like, I don't know, Leeds looked a lot fitter than Arsenal. And we looked like a bunch of individuals playing just for the sake of playing. But James, I want to go to you. What were your thoughts on the game last night?
Well, Leeds were the championship side that got promoted by winning the championship last season. And if you didn't know any better, you'd think it was us that got promoted from the championship. Because Leeds looked fantastic. They kept coming. The way they would spray the ball around, they just couldn't finish. But they never gave in. Never gave in. And these are not players that have huge price tags. These are not players that are lauded by a particular fan base, for having an amazing reputation and being world class by all accounts. These are hard-working, decent, honest players who are under the tutelage of a world-class manager, and every single one of them has improved, and they're a very dangerous team. And if Leeds would have had a finisher yesterday, they would have been out of sight by half time. And I think I watched the game. I came home yesterday after watching the game. I would have loved to have been there, but unfortunately wasn't meant to be. So hopefully my first trip to Ellen Road will be next season. But I thought to myself, why do we seem to struggle against promoted teams? If you look at last season, for example, away to Sheffield United, who got promoted, we lost. Away to Aston Villa, who got promoted, we lost. Away to Norwich, I was there at Carrow Road, we drew. Why do we seem to always struggle against newly promoted sides, especially away from home? It seems to be like a little bit of a stumbling block. But I take my hat off to Leeds. I think it's an amazing story. And as I said last Friday, Alex, I'm extremely jealous of the way the club is run, the way the fan base are together. I know that fan base has suffered. And for Arsenal fans to think that they are suffering, well, I've got news for you. We haven't been relegated, have we? We haven't suffered relegations to the depths of despair. Haven't gone into administration. We are in a difficult pickle at the moment, but there are teams that are in a lot worse position. But I just think it's an amazing story, and I think it's really interesting to see what Bielsa will do. And as I say, these are players that he's made better. He's made every single one of those players better. I mean, Bamford, rising like a salmon for that header that hit the post. When they hit the post again and when they hit the bar, they're just, these are players that, they haven't had amazing careers, but they've been galvanised by one manager who's believed in them, and they're not. They haven't got a fan base that thinks, oh, he must be. We paid 45 million quid. We move. What do you mean we move? We down? You mean? And the kind of language that the fan base the younger fan base is using now. Maybe I'm showing my age, but we're nowhere near top four ready.
Yeah.
The club is not being run properly, and as I say, I'm very jealous of Leeds because they made us look like the Championship team last night.
But James, what's your thoughts on Nicolas Pepe? I've been his biggest critic on Canon Foy TV. I just think £72 million. The argument, well, you can't blame the player, but the player has. It's in his own hands to show he's committed for the cause. Whatever the cause is, whoever the manager is, he needs to show that commitment. And he went to the French press saying that, a happy player, I want to play more games. And then, he gets red carded yesterday. And I know a lot of people I saw yesterday, on Twitter, actually on all the social platforms there's been some really harsh comments made. Actually, some racism against Nicolas Pepe. That he caused us, to the draw. He didn't cause that. I mean, even if we had 11 players, James, we still struggled. We still struggle with 11 players. But what's your thoughts on Nicolas Pepe? What's your thoughts on this player?
Well, first and foremost, for people to throw racism into the pot when venting their spleen, what does the colour of somebody's skin have to do with it?
Yeah,
it's got nothing to do with it. It's got nothing to do with it at all. So that's just showing, that how people think. Unfortunately, Pepe can't do anything about his price tag, but I do find it very strange how the character of player that Arsenal are bringing in, they all seem to have one common denominator, and that is they get too comfortable too quickly. And they're lauded by a fan base who think they are brilliant, primarily because of their price tag. It's got nothing to do with the previous or the work rate or the character. And, I just think he's ill-disciplined and he's too comfortable. Like Lacazette is too comfortable. Like Aubameyang is too comfortable. Like Partey already appears to be too comfortable. How many games has he played? Has he been significant in any case? All of a sudden, he's not playing. Willian as well. We're tweeting out ahead of time for team news. Mesut Ozil being a cheerleader. Our club is. I was brought up on my formative years as an Arsenal fan were in the early 90s and the 1990-1991 season. And that team was just an amazing team of characters that all stood up together from the front to the back, from David Seaman to Tony Adams to Paul Merson to Rocky Rocastle to Alan Smith. And, Kevin Campbell, they all stood up together. If one had a bad game, the other one stood up. If one was in trouble, the other one helped another. And we are just now so far removed from that. It's scary. It's scary. It really is. I mean, I've been supporting this club for more than 30 years now, and obviously attending games in Amsterdam before the COVID outbreak. But I'm getting to the point where I don't recognise my club anymore. I'm starting to get to the point where I don't recognise it anymore. I like, for example, at the Emirates, it's a world game, but obviously I live in Amsterdam. I was born in London, speak with a London accent. I go to watch Arsenal at home now, and I'm surrounded by people who literally live all over the world, and they are in London on a tourist trip. And I've had people. I was at the Montpellier game a couple of years ago, and I was being quite verbal in a positive way, full of encouragement, and trying to, shouting out which players to man mark and watch this one and watch that one. And I received a tap on the shoulder from two fellows, and they said, "Excuse me, can we ask where you're from?" So I was born in Hampstead. Not far from here. I said, "But I live in Amsterdam now." I said, "What about yourselves?" "Oh, we live in Singapore. We're in London, and we thought we'd take in the game." And the club, the commercial drive of the club, that's where it appears to be. at now. I mean, I tweeted out at the end of the game last night, Kroenke sees Arsenal as a cash cow. There is no... If you own anything and you don't look after it, I mean, you made an amazing point. I think Terry also made a good point where you both believe that he's hanging on to the reins of the club in the event that he's hopeful there'll be a European Super League. If
Yeah.
I'm a football fan, I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm vehemently against a European Super League. If you have a European Super League, you can't have a story like Leicester. People talk about La Liga, Barcelona, Real Madrid. Real Sociedad are currently top, and they look fantastic. We love the game because it's unpredictable. That's why everybody loves it. When you start to curtail it, it kind of starts to kind of take away the charm of it. And you made a great point where you think that Kroenke is hanging on to make that money, but I don't see Arsenal making any significant progress until he's gone. I mean, I would so dearly love a football man to take charge of Arsenal and say, right, hang on a minute, let's go through the youth setup with a fine-tooth comb. Of course, you can't give everybody a pathway, but what you can stop doing is... Emile Smith-Rowe, I watched him play in the Europa League against a very physical Sporting Lisbon team. They were kicking lumps out of him, Alex, in November 2018. I saw it with my own eyes. But he kept his cool, he kept his calm. Wasn't the best game you ever saw, but was a 0-0 draw. Emile Smith-Rowe doesn't play for Arsenal anymore. Zach Medley played European football for Arsenal against Volska Poltava. He's now on loan at Gillingham. What must these players be thinking? If they were under Marcelo Bielsa's tutelage, Luke Ayling came through our youth setup. And yesterday he was one of the best players on the pitch. And he came through our youth setup. So we need a new broom. I'd say we need a new house, really.
Yeah.
And we need to build it brick by brick. By brick. And if you look
seen? Sorry, James. Have you seen the athletics segment on the Kroenkes?
No,
yet? No.
No,
Are you going to see it? No.
I don't know yet. I haven't made my mind up. I haven't made my mind up. Obviously, my own interviews with professional players and managers are the most important thing. But if I just wanted to finish with a final point. If you look at the best clubs in the world, the best on-form clubs in the world, what they all got in common? They've got an owner that cares. Liverpool's owner, Leicester's owner, Tottenham's owner is much maligned, but he really does care. You look at Sociedad, for example, doing tremendous things both on and off the pitch. So it's simply not the case of always putting your hand in your pocket. It's It's organisation, and we don't have any organisation. We have an owner where we're not his priority, and we have jobs for the boys at board level, and that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Let me go into the live chat. We're just going to chop this live show into two halves. Talk about the game, of course, against Leeds, and talk about some European football. I've got the Urban Ghost, who's one of our subscribers and members, one of the first members on Cannon 40 TV. Says, "Hi Alex, for once I catch you live. At last. And he goes on to say, hello, James.
Hello. I hope you're keeping well in these strange times.
And the Assembled says, good evening, Alex and James, and a good evening to you as well, the Assembled.
Good evening to you as well.
Woohoo! Midday I can catch watch live. Hello, James and Alex. Oh, I'm catching everyone
Hello,
live
Colin.
today. My goodness.
Nice to catch you.
And I've got Terry, the original Godfather, who says, hi from County Clare in west of Ireland. Yes, he's out there. And I know who should be back on these shores sometime in, I think, is it Wednesday or Thursday? But welcome, Terry. I hope you're well, my friends. DS Electronics Unlimited says, hello, everyone. Big up, Alex, and thank you for that message there. Who else do we have here? Any questions for James? Let's have a look. Oh, there's so many comments here. So that's my point of reference. Okay, well, player ratings for the Woodwork was an easy 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the best performances in years, wasn't it? But you have to. It's good that we can keep our sense of humour about that. That's always very important. You know, win, lose or draw, you've got to keep your humour and your dignity at all times. And you know, things can change so quickly in football. I mean, look at Sheffield United, for example. This time last year, we're coasting along, and now they're fighting to preserve their Premier League status. I don't particularly believe that already. I think if we get to Christmas or a New Year and they still haven't won, but I think that nobody's really asking the question as to why that happened at Sheffield United, and I have my ideas as to why that happened.
Okay, right. Who else do we have here? Right, DS Electronics Unlimited says, James, you are right. James is almost always right, which is why we've got him on Canon Fodder TV.
Yeah,
I see Arsenal finishing below 10th with Arteta. Well, I've said Arsenal will not get top four, and that's I've been consistently with that message there. We're not going to win the Europa League. We had the best chance under Unai Emery, only for the players not to turn up, and we fluffed our lines. And yeah, for me, my prediction of a top six is under threat, James.
Yes, I predicted 7th, and I received a barrage of criticism. Unbelievable. But, obviously I was just giving my opinion. And, as I say, when people say about being right, I only say what I see, Alex, and also coupled with my experience speaking to players and managers and understanding parts of the game that not many people know, speaking to agents, speaking to players and managers and technical directors. It gives me a different perspective, and it's nice to bring that to the fore every now and again.
Yeah. DS Electronics, after yesterday, Pepe is worth 72 pence. So that's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh, I think.
I saw people advocating, would we sell him in January? But I said, do you remember when we had the summer podcasts? And I said that before we open the wallet, before we spend any money, just go through the youth setup with a fine-tooth comb, promote the youth that's good enough, then give them a first-team squad number and play them. Don't go wasting money in an irresponsible time in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. But none of that was heeded. You even got Arsenal fans saying, who should we buy in January? Well, if Arsenal buy in January in the defence and the midfield, what happens to Ballard, Medley, McGuinness and Smith Rowe? Do they never play for Arsenal again then? Because these are the things that people forget. These are the things that people forget. Monaco were linked with Smith Rowe, and that tells you all you need to know. And I wonder what he must be thinking now, because played European football for Arsenal under the tutelage of a good manager in Danny Cowley, went on loan at Huddersfield last season. This isn't a career is very short, and buying isn't always the only solution. I mean, I don't advocate buying because I know, having spoken to players, Alex, what it does to a player when they don't play, what it does to a player when they sign for a club, the manager gets sacked and they become marginalised. They're in another country, they don't speak the language, and they're struggling to find their feet. I've heard lots of different stories
I mean,
about that.
if the opportunity came up for him again, if you was Smith, would you leave Arsenal, or would you fight for your place?
No, I'd leave. I'd leave if I'm Smith Rowe and Monaco come in for me in January, I'm off, because he's already played European football. He's already played Championship football. The most important thing for a player is that they play. I go back to my interview with Charlie Gilmore, who left the Arsenal Youth Academy as recently as 2019. And he said to me that when you are in the Arsenal Youth Academy, you get the best coaches, the best trainers, best facilities. And when you leave the club, you automatically think that there's people queuing around the block for you. But obviously, you've got the Premier League and the Championship. They don't necessarily want to take a chance on a young boy in a man's game. And, all this stockpiling of players, especially with Arsenal. I mean, people were talking about Slabosay from Hungary 3 weeks ago. Nobody knew who he was. At the start of the season, nobody knew who he was. And now it's, we've got to sign him. Why have we got to sign him? Because he scored a few great free kicks. And he's but Hungary are much improved. Ferencváros are in the Champions League. The national team has also improved. He's obviously a part of that. But we don't have to buy him. We've got 33 players. We have to sell 8 of them before we do anything. And we need to sell. And we need to literally tear it all down and start again. Because this club, what we know and love and hold so dear, it's changing beyond recognition now,
Yeah.
where where the standards that we used to hold dear, they're slowly slipping away now, and when once they slip away, it's very difficult to get them back.
Yeah, yeah. Let me just try and run through just a few more before we start talking about a Europa League Cup action. There's someone says that, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Luke Ayling an Arsenal Academy product? Good
Yeah.
enough for Leeds, but not Arsenal. Amazingly, Willian, Shaka are good
Mm.
enough for us.
Well,
Yeah,
the story of Ayling the assembled is that he left Arsenal and he went to Yeovil, and he said it was the best thing he ever did because he was in a place where he was not distracted. There was nothing to do, so all he had to do was concentrate on playing football, and he
mm,
did. And I saw an interview with him last weekend where he said that maybe he wasn't quite good enough for Arsenal, but he was in that same youth side as Wiltshire and Sanchez Watt and those good players. And you know the point of having a youth academy is to bring them through. That's the point of having a youth academy. Tony Adams came through our youth academy. David O'Leary, of course, Niall Quinn, Kevin Campbell, Rocky Rocastle, Paul Merson. The names are endless. Names are endless, and these are
yeah,
all special players, not just because of their contributions to Arsenal Football Club, but also because they knew what it meant. They knew what it meant to be playing for Arsenal, and it's just I just fear that we're slowly but surely becoming unrecognisable at the moment, and it's going to take
yeah.
a monumental effort to get us back to where we used to be.
Yeah. Colin Young says exactly why I just cannot jump on this Arteta out bandwagon. Then we have to rely on this joke of an owner and shambles of a board to put a proper manager in. No trust.
No,
Yeah, I agree with you. James is preaching facts, as always. I think we are having too many players that don't care much about the
mm,
club and
mm,
of the collective good. Too many players with egos. Too many players that care about their image and the social
mm.
media.
Yeah, no, it's a great,
Different times.
no, but it's a great point from Majid. It's a great point because at the end of the day, I have social media and I have nearly 7,000 followers. But I'm just a football writer. I'm nothing special. But I wouldn't care less if I had 50. Doesn't bother me. I only use it to promote my own interviews and give my opinion. But a great point with Majid about the image, because people like Aubameyang, Partey, Pepe, Willian, they appear to be more concerned about the image than the football club. And also our number 10, who doesn't play, the same. And I think Colin makes a great point there, where there's no trust for them to make the right decision, because they can't make the right decision because they don't know how to make the right decision. I mean, people forget that when Unai Emery was on the verge of becoming Arsenal manager, he took what they called a red eye plane from London to America to meet Kroenke and get the seal of approval. I'm sure Kroenke didn't even know who he was. I think it was just Gazidis was, this is the man I want. His name is Unai Emery. Emery meet Kroenke. Kroenke meet Emery. Thanks a lot, and then we fly back to London. See you later. We need a very proactive owner. I know times have changed, but if you
Yeah.
look, I mean, I've been supporting the club for more than 30 years, Alex. Years ago, you never heard a peep out of the board. You never heard a peep out of them. You knew who they were, with Peter Hillwood, Ken Fryer, Danny Fisman, David Dean. You knew who these people were, but they were all competent businessmen that all had the best interest of Arsenal at heart. They never pulled
Mm.
any punches. I can't think with the transfer policy, especially in my formative years. I can't remember one occasion where you thought, well, that was a waste of money. And we used to have, do you remember under George Graham, we used to have the likes of Mark Flats and Ian Selly
Yes.
in the starting lineup, away at Man City and away to Leeds. This is what it used to be like. We used to have Mark Flats wasn't a bad player. He wasn't an amazing player, but he always
Mm.
tried his best. And I remember when we signed Colin Pates from Chelsea, and he scored against Benfica. and Chris Kiwomya from Ipswich. I know times have changed, but it was
Yeah.
always, it was always look. I mean, Chris Kiwomya before he came to Arsenal, literally scored every single goal for Ipswich. He was that good. But yeah, I know times have changed, but the thing that upset me yesterday is we never seem to learn. We never seem to learn. We had a great opportunity this summer to show that we've learned, and we didn't have the courage to do that. We went out and spent money on Partey in a position we didn't really need. It does make me laugh the way people say, "Oh, we haven't had a player like that for years," as if that's a bad thing, as if that's a good thing. But you can change. We changed from a Vieira type model to a Fabregas type model, and nobody complained, nobody batted an eyelid, and all of a sudden it's, oh, we've got to have a Partey. Thomas Partey is good. He's a fantastic physical specimen, but it's an awful lot of money, and I maintain this is not like going into a shop and saying, "Can I use my card, please?" and paying it all in one go. We're still paying for Pepe. We're still paying for Partey. So Pepe gets sent off yesterday. We're still paying instalments for him, and I don't think they'll finish anytime soon. And this is what I mean. I'm not going to write off the season completely. Hope of a League Cup or FA Cup or Europa League maybe, but it's this time last year it was, we've got to get Emery, and they did, and now we've got to get Arteta, and now they did. So let's just say if we do sack Arteta, so that means that those players have made sure that two professional football managers, one vastly experienced and the other vastly inexperienced, have both lost their jobs within a year. Those players have ensured that, but nobody on the fan side of things has the courage to say to an Aubameyang, an Ozil, a Pepe, for example, "You're still here. You're still here," and two managers have gone. And this is what I mean. We need to really. I mean, obviously we can't do much in January apart from hopefully sell, but I hope they heed the warnings for next summer, because it's you just keep going around in circles.
James, I've got to go through this last few ones before we go and talk about our Europa League. Got one here from Majid who says, we need more players more like Tierney, down to earth and working hard and fighting for the badge. Did you catch Xhaka saving a Leeds player from Tierney? Tierney ought to be our captain. Clearly, he'll stand up for the teammates. One here from Urban says, well said, James. Totally agree. 79. I saw Arsenal. Ain't been for 8 years. Feels like a different club. Things have changed so much at Arsenal. Just one more before we talk about Europa League. Time to look at within the EPL championship players. We don't need to always buy huge money. Yeah, we've been saying this. We've been saying this, but even rather than again looking for players in other leagues, we've got players in the academy. We've got players in the under 19s, under 23s who've been at Arsenal for the best part of 10 years. So that should be our first port of call before anything else there. Look closer to home and then look in the championship, maybe. But that should be our first port of call, looking at the players who have been at Arsenal since the age of 7, 8, or 9. But James, I'm sorry, we've got to go on, James. I'm really, really sorry. It's going to be a short show. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, as I was thinking yesterday, if Ballard and McGuinness were playing in our back four yesterday, do you think it would have been any worse? I don't think so. No. I don't think so. And the points that are made about Championship, fantastic. And I fully agree with you about the own academy first. But it takes a lot of courage to swing that way, especially with the fan base we have. But we can do it if we had strong enough characters as an owner and at board level. If we had strong enough characters to say, look, this is what we're going to do, take it or leave it, I think it would actually help to educate some of our younger fans. But it would take an awful lot of courage to do it. I'm not saying we can't do it, but under the current board and owner, there's no way. But going forward, it's going to take a lot of courage, but it can be done.
Yeah, just a couple more. The last few times. Don also says, Alex, James is right on the point. Agree with everything he said. And here's a question for you, James. Alex, can you ask James if he's Arteta out or in, and if he can explain why?
Well, I'm more Kroenke out than Arteta out because I don't believe that if Arteta was dispensed was relieved of his duties, I don't trust the board to get in the right manager. And so for me, I would like Kroenke to leave. Also for Arteta, you've got to. He's cutting his teeth at the third biggest club in England. It's a hell of an ask. And I saw him coaching yesterday and heard him coaching in multiple languages. It's a fantastic human skill to have. But I think if you're speaking 5 languages to to your team, instructing them all in unison, I think it can also cause a bit of confusion, especially when things are not going well. So, as I say, I didn't want Arteta to be appointed, but I respect every single Arsenal manager. I've only known George Graham, Arsene Wenger, Pat Rice, and Stuart Houston as caretakers, and Bruce Rioch, and obviously Emery, and now Mikel Arteta. But yeah, it's just I just think a new owner with new ideas who actually cares about the club, I think they would bring in their own man, and I think then would be the time to perhaps make a change.
Yeah, there you go. So, Don, also, I hope that's answered the question for you. We're back in action on Thursday against MOLDE FK. Yeah, I think we only need one more point, and then
Yeah.
we've gone to the next stage. What can we expect on Thursday, James? Do you think Arteta will mix it up a little bit? Do you think he might give some youngsters more chance, more minutes, or you think he might revert to type and keep the same, more or less the same players?
Well, we've won all 3 of our games, and
Yeah.
let's go for a perfect record. Let's go for a perfect record of trying to win all 6 Europa League games. I know it's not the easiest Europa League group we're in, but set out a stall and try to make a statement going into the last 32. As far as I'm aware, Molde play on a plastic pitch. It'll be interesting to see how players cope with injuries in that respect. And I know that Molde did play on a plastic pitch when they played Ajax back in 2014. I'm not sure if it's changed. But yeah, to get that point, to get into the last 32, that would be good with 2 games to spare, and then give the youngsters a chance. But, we've got the League Cup coming up as well. We've got Wolves at home. We've got the Derby, of course, and be interesting to see what happens. But it's a long old season, as I've said before. We've got to try to enjoy it. I haven't been to an Arsenal match since January of this year at home to Sheffield United, and we get all excited, but at the minute the club's not being run properly. The club is just not being run properly. I would swap an owner who is just got a bit more ruthlessness about him, and actually has the courage to say no. We're not going to buy a 12th defender when we've already got 11. I'm not going to spend 45 million on Partey at the age of 27 when there's good young defensive and attacking midfielders in our youth setup. Because the money involved as well, this is real money we're talking about. And we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. So those players that don't perform, they're laughing literally all the way to the bank.
But then, James, does it make it a lot more difficult for us to get rid of and downsize the squad? Because, like you rightly say, we're on a pandemic. A lot of the
Yeah.
clubs, only in Europe, they do not have money to buy players.
Yeah.
So, what's the likelihood of us getting rid of the likes of, your Mustafis, whichever player you would like to leave Arsenal? What's the probability? It's quite small, isn't it?
It is quite small, but then might have to. It's a case of getting them off the books. If you have to sell at a cut price, or if you have to let them run down their contract, or don't offer them one, like in the case of David Luiz. David Luiz received a contract extension. Cedric Suarez received a contract extension. I think he played about 3 games for Arsenal, 3 games, and received a contract extension. And Mark McGuinness goes out to Ipswich, and Daniel Ballard, having already played for his country. I still can't grasp how someone's already good enough to play for their country, but yet hasn't debuted for their club. I mean, I know how good Daniel Ballard is, but I still can't quite grasp that. So that tells me that the club isn't being run properly. And I believe that David Luiz received his contract extension after the poor form away to Man City and the mistakes that he made. But he's got Arsenal tied up like a turkey. Aubameyang has got Arsenal tied up like a turkey. You know, desperation makes people do strange things, but we never seem to learn. And the only hope that I have is that, as I say, I don't expect much in January apart from selling at a cut price. You know, but I'm telling you now, Alex, at some point we've got our number 10, Partey, Willian, Aubameyang, Pepe. They are all on in excess, just those group of players are earning in excess of £1.3 million a week. Now, are any of those players talismanic? Are any of those players, if they left the club, would you shed a tear and go, "Oh no, he's gone"? No. And it's and I say once again, £1.3 million a week. Never mind the rest of the squad. So therein lies the problem. And I actually believe the problem will become so big that Arsenal won't be able to pay it at some point. And one of those players will leave, or two of them will leave. And I hope the fans understand that they're not leaving with a heavy heart. They're leaving because the salary that Arsenal have offered them, long term, that salary isn't sustainable, especially without Champions League football. So you can kind of read it like an open book, where fans may well lament that they're leaving. And for me, I will actually think, well, you know, finally the wheel is turning now. And, you know, we're going to have some tough times ahead. I'm not saying we're going to do a Leeds. I'm not saying we're going to really, really struggle. But I can't see Arsenal making any progress until Kroenke's gone. And even after that, things are going to take a very long time. And you forget as well, we haven't won the league for 16 years. But nobody seems to talk about that. They all love to talk about how good Aubameyang is. And they all love to talk about how good Partey is. But I'd love to talk about the fact that we let our youth players down and we haven't won the league for 16 years.
Let me go to live chat. I'll
say one final thing on the matter. I think you said it a couple of months ago. And if your son was courted by Arsenal, would you let him sign for Arsenal?
No.
That tells you all you need to know. That tells you, you love the club as much as me. We love the club immensely, but that tells you all you need to know. And you see Arsenal shining a light on the under-23s. You know, it's great that they shine a light on them, but I would like to see more of them come through.
Live chat just for last time. We've got John Wayne who says, "Hi, Alex and James." Thank you for that, John Wayne. It seems like Arteta will require 11 world-class players, excluding the goalkeeper, to finish in top 4. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. But anyway,
no. But you can't get top 4 with 11 world-class players. Football is not. Football is not that simple. People forget Leicester won the league with Wes Morgan and Mark Albrighton. Leicester won the league with these players. Leicester won the league with a Danny Drinkwater. You need these types of players. Liverpool last season, people used to take the mickey out of Jordan Henderson. He used to be the butt of jokes. Now he's a Premier League winner. People took the mickey out of Liverpool when they signed Andy Robertson, but now he's a Premier League winner. So you need these types of players, and our fan base doesn't seem to understand that. The older fan base do, but the younger ones certainly don't, and it's very worrying for the future.
DWTT, Gary, he says hello, Alex and James, and hello to you as well, Gary. I hope you're well, my friend. Terry says a little will change until we have an owner who cares. Agree with James. Arteta has a tough job on his hands. DWTT, easy mate. Thank you for that. He goes on to say, play the young players, sell the deadwood. Carol, welcome. Says James always talks perfect sense. Hey, what about me? What about me? I
Alex as
talk
well,
sense.
Carol. Thank you very much.
I do try
It's a
my
team
best.
effort. It's a
I'm
team
joking.
effort,
I'm joking.
of course.
Arnie says even all and even to you as well. Got Ray from Arsenal Fan Circle who says hi, Alex and James. I'll be interested in your take on Shaka Tierney at the end of the game, James.
Well, I saw Xhaka literally screaming that Leno needed a new shirt because he had a little bit of blood on his shirt. And my friend who I was watching the game with, I said, "What about in the 70s when they used to have fights and they used to draw blood from fellow players, and there would be blood on your shirt, and you would be blood on your shirt." And I just think Xhaka is also far too comfortable. Tierney has immense promise, and the shouts for him to be captain are very, very good. But there's still an awful lot of work to be done. I mean, Arteta recalled Nketiah last season, which I thought was an oversight. Because a young player, the last part of your journey is learning about the responsibility of going into a first team dressing room, playing with players who need that win bonus to help with their mortgage repayments and things like that. So you're learning, it makes you kind of mature as a player. I wonder if Arteta has the courage to call back McGuinness and Ballard and Medley in January. I don't think so.
No.
I don't
No.
think so at all. And
No.
I know it's very idealistic to think about these players returning, but what does give me hope is when McGuinness played in that friendly against MK Dons, everybody sat up and thought, "Oh, Mark McGuinness, he's really good. Yeah, he is really good. He's also 6 foot tall, like Saliba. He's also 6 foot tall, like Gabriel." I could not believe, and I still can't believe it now. On the day we signed Gabriel, I put out a tweet saying this blocks the pathway for Ballard and McGuinness. Please think about players' welfare, what happens to young players when they don't play. That our back line, if we only had the courage to put both of them in together. What have we got to lose? We're not going to win the league. We haven't won the league for 16 years. And when you haven't won the league for 16 years, you're not going to win it within the next season. You're not going to win it within the next two. And every season that we don't learn from our mistakes is another long run up before we ever win it again. So we've got to start learning and learning quickly.
Yeah. Here's one from Silver. Really good one, actually. The board members who forced David Dean out and sold shares to Kroenke should be held accountable for our predicament we are in. And Carol says it all fell apart when David Dean left.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to have to call it quits here. Like I said, I was going to do half an hour. We've gone over that. Need to try and keep a tight reins on these live shows in the future. Had my hands slapped one a few times. James, I've got to say big thank you to James again. James is going to be a regular feature with me every Monday as long as we've got Europa League action.
Yeah.
Dear, that game yesterday. I am a little bit jealous of Leeds, to be honest, James. Really
I
jealous.
am very jealous. I am green with envy. If you said to me now, would you swap places with Leeds as a football club? I'd say yes. Where do I sign? Because they're only going one. They're only going one way, and we're not. And people say, "Oh, you wouldn't swap with them." I would swap with them. Look at where they're going. Look at who they've got. Look at their owner. When their owner revealed Marcelo Bielsa, the owner said the following: Marcelo Bielsa has chosen us. He wants to be part of the journey to take Leeds United back to the Premier League. And look what they did. I can't imagine Kroenke sitting next to unveiling an Arsenal manager saying, "This is the manager we've brought in. We've made an awful lot of mistakes. The target is to win the league within 5 years." Our owner is not present in the press conferences of an unveiling of a manager. He's not there at all, is he? Because we're not his priority. And Arsenal hopefully will sell, but it's going to take an awful long time. And it's a very long haul, I believe.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's it. That's it for the Europa League stroke. Previous game reaction against Leeds. Arsenal are very lucky to have left Ellenborough with 1 point. But anyway, I digress. James, thank you very much for spending your 45 minutes on Canon Foy TV. It's been a pleasure, as always. I will
You're
try
more
and
than
remember to leave the
welcome.
link for James's Twitter handle, which is at JamesRowNL on Twitter. Follow him over there. See all his wonderful interviews. I've been so busy, I haven't had any chance to read up all his previous interviews, but I'll read them at my leisure when I have some time.
Yeah,
James,
all at your own pace.
yeah, thank you very much for that. I will be back in roughly an hour and 15 minutes. I've got lots of chores to be doing before the wife arrives, man. So I shall see you back then. James, thank you very much. And to all of you who came to the live chat, again, I do apologize. I didn't get to the last bit there, but it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. So until then, make sure to subscribe to Canon Foy TV. Hit the bell notification button so you can receive all the latest news on this wonderful channel right here on Canon Fodder TV. And I shall see you in roughly an hour and 10 minutes time. So see you later and adios.